Welcome everyone to our talk about, I can't even remember what the name of it is. I just know it's how we bring love into animal Reiki. So this is really exciting. Oh, here, let me admit Claudia here and let me put on speaker. So this is really exciting. One thing, and I know I don't want to seem like, I don't know if you guys know that movie American Pie where they talk about band camp all the time. This time at band camp. So I feel like I'm that way with Joe Dispenza. When I was at the retreat, but one thing that I did, the biggest takeaway from that was that love is the most healing energy. And we're so lucky because we work with animals and we know what it feels like to experience complete unconditional love. Animals love us with all their heart. They don't hold anything against us. Um, they are so forgiving, right? They teach us how to be good humans, but we don't always listen or match their energy. So I want to talk today just about some simple techniques that we can do to not only bring happiness to ourselves, but also more happiness to our animals' lives. Because, you know, we all know those people and they're really neurotic, and then their animals are really neurotic, right? Because our energy affects our animals. But a lot of times we don't see it. We're really worried. We're really upset about something. Our animals start to mirror that, but we're so consumed with what's going on right here with us. We're not paying attention to what's going on with them. So it's really important for us to have the tools to quickly tune in to love when we're feeling out of sorts. And that's really for ourselves, but also if we really truly want to be the best animal Reiki practitioners out there, we have to start focusing on how our energy affects the animals and what we can do to bring more peace and more joy to their lives. Now, I'm gonna do a caveat here because it was really funny when I was talking to Scarlett, and you all remember Scarlett when she came and talked to us about. Sorry, I'm trying to find a Kleenex here. When she came and talked to us about white fox and everything, and I was talking to her about the let animals lead method and how we always want to be in the space of love and positivity when we go sit with an animal. And she's like, oh my God, no, my horses are so healing for me. And so there is a caveat here. Your own animals will support you. That's their job. That's what they're there for. They know that. They try and be as big of a support to us as possible. They're always like tapping us on the shoulders when we're sad. It's like, hey, I'm here. So when we're talking about our own animals, we can be sad, we can be angry, we can do all these things, and they're a lot more willing to accept it. But again, as I said before, we have to be really careful because if we're too much in ourselves and in our own emotions, we start to affect our animals. It starts to become too much for them. But when we're going to meet a new animal, a strange animal, if you're going to go work, like last week we talked about therapy horses, you really can't go have an effective session with a therapy horse if when you come in, you're out of sorts, you're off because you had a fight with your partner, or you're out of sorts because maybe you got an unexpected bill, or there's something going on in your life. You can't truly connect in a deep space with an animal if you have a lot going on out here. So science, you can look it up on the internet. It's a scientific fact that we are 99.9999999% energy. And a very teeny, teeny, itsy bitsy part of us, of ourselves, is a particle. Okay. But we have over 70 trillion cells. So those teeny tiny little particles, they add up and they make us, right? They make matter. But the reality is, in each of those cells, the particle is a very teeny part of the cell. The rest is energy. So when we're thinking about ourselves, we have to remember our energy is huge. It goes out. In fact, it goes out so far that we don't even understand how far it goes, right? Like, so when you think about when you're offering a distant session, you understand that your energy can connect to that person. You understand your energy really isn't traveling thousands of miles, if like this person's in the UK and you're here, you understand that we're all connected. We're all deeply connected. It's quantum physics. We're connected through this web, right? But when we're doing distant sessions, it's easy for us to go, oh, they're there, I'm here, but my energy is going to them. So even if you feel that way, even if you're not thinking, yeah, we're all connected, you can understand your energy can go that far. So if your energy can go all the way to the UK, your energy can certainly go across the room to your animals. So by creating the energy of love and peace, we're actually compounding it throughout, right? Because again, we're all connected. If I'm sharing peace and love with my animals and I go out into the world with that beautiful energy of peace and love, every person that I smile at, that I touch, is being touched by my energy. But beyond that, even the energy of me, oh, sorry, I've got it. The energy of me is also affecting the plants, the environment, the animals that I can't even see. But I know that if I'm focused on my energy is huge. I know that that makes sense. Okay, if I'm in a really happy mood, it's going to affect all of those around us. Oh, I can't remember when it was. It might have been the 80s. The government did this test, and they took like DNA cells or some kind of cells that they could measure reactions from a human. So they put the human in the room with their cells, and they showed the human different things, like things that would make them cry, things that would make them laugh, things that would make them feel happy, things that would make them feel like romantic. And the cells would actually react. So then they put the person in the next room and did the same thing, and the cells continued to react to the person. Then they put the person like 500 miles away. The cells continued to react. Then they put the person, 1,000 miles away. The cells continued to react as the person was reacting to what was being shown to them. And that really got to me, because it's like, wow, we don't know what we're leaving when we leave, right? We think, okay, I'm physically leaving, I leave no trace. But your energy is still there, like kind of like when you ring a bell and the vibrations of the bell go out, or even sound and light frequencies, right? We can't see them, but we know they're constantly going. So when we go anywhere, when we leave anywhere, we could be leaving an impression. We could be leaving our emotions. So it's really important for us to get on top of our emotions, for us to be really aware of when we're feeling sad, acknowledge it, and not push it down like, oh, yeah, I'm sad, but it's fine. I'm fine. We love to say that. Oh yeah, I'm sad, but I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. And it's like, we kind of have to worry about you because you're not fine. And so I want to talk about today just a little bit of how we can create joy in our life and start easily changing our own vibrations, but also when we go out and sharing it. Because at the end of the day, love is the only thing that's going to heal ever. And it's been proven time and time again. If you have wars, there is no winner because there is no love, right? It's just everybody wants to be right. They're at war, and there's no peaceful resolution possible because everybody wants to be right. And so it's like this, and it's like that in our own life. Like if you're like this with someone constantly, there's no resolution. I was just talking to a friend. She and her husband are like this right now. And I told her, then open up. Don't worry about being right. Just make him feel seen, heard, and appreciated. You don't have to agree, right? And that's the energy of the precepts. But I wasn't telling her about the precepts. I was just telling her, you don't have to agree with him. Just acknowledge what he's saying to you. And that can create healing, because when someone no longer has something to bounce against, they start to get tired and they start to get, let go. And then they start to open up themselves. So that's one of the ways that we can, as animal Reiki practitioners, as the Let Animals Lead practitioners, we can turn to the precepts and be in that energy of the precepts, which creates the energy of love, very simply. So, for today only, do not anger. It doesn't mean you're never going to get angry. It just means you're going to let go of your anger. Do not worry. Worry is a really wasted emotion because half the time we're worried, it never even happens. And then we get down to, when we let go of anger, we let go of worry, what do we get down to? We get down to humility. So now we can be humble. And in that space of humility, we can be honest, we can be grateful, right? You can't be grateful and angry. Just try it. Try to be really mad and then be really grateful at the same time. You can't do it because gratitude doesn't work with anger. And so to be grateful, if you can turn into gratitude, that turns into compassion. And compassion isn't pity, compassion is love. Compassion is, I see you for who you are and I love you. We don't have to be, I agree with you or anything, but we can still love the person no matter what. Because when we do bad things, when we're in fights with people and we want to be right, we want to, we want for them to see how right we are or for them to understand us. It's just a lack of love that we're feeling. We're not feeling seen, heard, and appreciated, right? The three things I always say every human wants in order to feel love, right? So if you're not feeling seen, you're not feeling appreciated, you're not feeling heard, then what happens? You get angry, you get frustrated.
Sorry.
And so there we go. And you start to feel those emotions that are negative and you start to let go of love. But when we can remind ourselves that everyone is on their own path, that we can want someone to understand, to hear us, but they probably won't. And we can't make someone, and this is where wars start, right? You can't make someone believe what you believe. You can't make someone feel what you feel. We're all on our own individual path. But what we can do as individuals and what animals help us do is we can look to ourselves and say, I can let this go. I can show myself love. I can be in a loving energy with myself. Because when we love ourselves, it's really easy for us to love other people. So when we're teaching the precepts, we always say, well, you can't show compassion to others if you don't know how to show compassion to yourself. And what that really is too is you can't show love, true love to others unless you can show true love to yourself. And the easiest way we can do that is by going through the precepts or even doing the all is well mantra for ourselves. So for animals, we always say, you are safe, you are loved, all is well. Okay. That's one that one of my students created, that added on to the all is well mantra. And the all is well mantra isn't animal Reiki. It's really comes from Louise Hay. I think she's the one that made it popular, might have even been popular before her. But we say all is, you are safe, you are loved, all is well. When we go to the shelter, it's really empowering for the animals, but it's empowering for ourselves. I am safe. I am loved. All is well. I don't care who you are, where you are loved by some being. You are loved by maybe your own animals. You are loved maybe by the birds that are around where you live, because maybe your just energy is so nice. I mean, I hear this all the time. People who do Reiki, they're like, gosh, the birds come to my house so much. I have a little bird feeder or whatever that is, and they get that energy. You are loved by other beings, and you may not realize it, but they do love you. They do appreciate you. And so we have to remind ourselves, I am loved. All of you who are in this group, I share immense love for each of you, for being here, for showing up, for listening, even when you listen on the recording, because I'm so grateful that you're here, that you're willing to listen to me talk and talk and talk, and that you're willing to contribute just to the energy of this beautiful community that we've created on these Wednesday calls. So if you're coming to these calls, you are definitely loved. We're all loved in some way. But sometimes we can lose sight of that. I know that I have many times. Ever since COVID, I have gotten depressive episodes. I was never a depressed person before COVID, and I had it really bad in 2020 I had it from November. I was bedridden pretty much from November to just about the beginning of March. And then I had long haul COVID. I still have it to a certain degree, but since then I've gotten depressed. And so I really understand people who feel depressed and don't feel loved, and it becomes overwhelming. And one of the things that I have done for myself to bring myself out of that is gratitude, and also that joyful meditation. So, you know, the joyful meditation that we do, and we close our eyes, we close out, it's good to close your eyes because you close out all outside distractions. And I've always learned that in meditation classes. It's not something we really talk about in animal Reiki as much, but when I went to Joe Dispenza's retreat, they encourage you to wear eye masks so that you're really blocking out all distractions so that you can go deep into your meditation. So if you have a problem, meditating, go into that deep place. Shirley keeps, I'm gonna have to, I don't know how to mute her forever, but you have to go into that deep place, like that place where there's nothingness. And that place of nothingness is where you can find deep love for yourself. You can find deep love for others. So if you do the gratitude meditation, we close our eyes, or you can wear an eye mask, you can go deep and you can think of something that brings you immense joy. There is one thing I'm sure that each and every one of us has that brings us immense joy. And you all have been coming here long enough, for me, and I can't even say the word without smiling and giggling, is bunnies. Bunnies just get it. I don't know what it is. I cannot tell you what it is. I mean, I had bunnies growing up, but they didn't do that for me. At some point in my adult life, there was the switch, and I hear bunnies and I just can't help but laugh. So you have to find that word for you so that no matter how dark you're feeling, what you're feeling, you can go, okay, bunnies, and get out of that. And as soon as you're out of it, as soon as you're like above it, it's so much easier to go, okay, yeah, I can create love. I can create joy, right? And especially when we're going to go sit with animals, because I mean, Dawn and Nancy are both on the call today. And if you want to chime in, when you're working with therapy animals, right? They're workers, and they take their job really seriously. They may not be in the best conditions, or it may be fine conditions, but they're not getting that emotional support they need. We can't go in there with our, oh God, life sucks. Okay, I'm going to get into my Reiki precepts. Okay, now I'm going to share that, right? You can't do it. And I don't know, Nancy or Dawn, if you want to unmute and just kind of piggyback on that a little bit about how our emotions do affect that. And I'll put it on gallery, and maybe you don't want to come on, but if you do, yeah, Dawn, go ahead. And then Nancy, if you want to say something.
Well, just in general, our emotions really have a big impact on animals. And one of the things we've been talking about it in our class recently, and I've been talking about with other people, is seeing animals as whole when you go out there and working with them, and that's so important. But one of the big issues for animals in general, not just therapy animals, is the attitude and emotions of the person that they're connected to. And so, like, the whole reason I started my Meditate with Your Pet once a month was because I was trying to get my clients to unwind, because their animals were so reactive to their road rage or work rage. And in therapy animals that don't have an outlet, I think it's especially important for us to, one, see them as whole, and two, offer them a way to release some of those feelings that they might not be able to otherwise handle.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Dawn or Nancy, did you want to say something about that as well? Oh, here, let me ask to unmute, because that might help. Oh dear. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me see if I can. Yeah, it won't let me manually unmute. Just so if you want to put something in the chat, that would be great too, Nancy. And then we can have you. I guess I should bring up my chat too. I don't have this new layout is really interesting on Zoom. Oh, there we go. There's our chat. So if we want to have a chat, there we go. Great. But we have to be really careful about, it's like Dawn said, seeing the animals as whole, seeing them not as their conditions, because animals can rise above it. They can go to this higher place where they let go. Oh, there's Nancy. Yay.
Yeah, except now I forgot what I was going to say.
About the therapy horses and about how our energy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they really are complete beings, and they have to be treated as such. And so I go in there, and I'm also an animal communicator. I just have to convey, I am here for you. I am, here to share energy to help you relax, reboot, whatever it is you need to do. If you want to tell me anything, if not, we can just hang out. And it can't always be about problem solving.
Right. That.
Yeah, I mean, there's a horse that a camp horse that I work with, and granted, we are getting kind of late in the summer camp season, but he just cannot keep his shoes on.
Oh.
So, and not only is he getting rid of his shoes, he's now hiding them. So making him, or helping him see the connection between keeping his shoes on and less pain is a work in progress. But I thought, okay, let's shift gears a little bit. And so I asked the barn manager, what is maybe something that he could do for fun that would be even more fun than making us hunt for his shoes? So we're working on that now too. And, sometimes even problem solving can take a creative joy finding approach. I mean, and this is very timely because I had another client yesterday say, ask my parrot what will bring him joy. Because he's a rescue who's outlived a couple owners, and she wasn't sure that he was finding as much happiness as he could. And so I was able to get back to her with a couple of nice ideas. So it's just you want to get in there, and you got to cope with what you got to cope with. And we've got your horseshoes and your aches and pains and your everything else, but we've also got joy.
Yes.
And it really bears taking the time and whatever creative approaches you can figure out to do that.
And I think I love that you said that, Nancy. I love that you said that because it so goes hand in hand with what we're talking about, which is bringing joy. And really quickly, hey, Lindsay, and hey, Carolyn and Claudia, thanks so much for joining us. But you're right. And we forget that, right? You're so right when you said we're so focused on problem solving. How can we make this go away? How can we fix this? And we don't need to. We can bring that energy of joy and love and fun.
Mm-hmm.
I know my little, she's a terrier miniature poodle. We had her DNA. She's like 3 generations of miniature poodle and Chihuahua and terrier. So she's just something. She's always
knows everything.
And it's when we're having fun, she's more willing to learn than when I'm being serious. Hey, do. She's like, no, this is too serious. I want to have fun. My life is serious. I am all of these breeds that are serious. I want to have fun. So I love that you gave us that reminder, because that really wasn't in what I was going to talk about. But yeah, we have to bring that. And you don't have to be an animal communicator. Like Nancy's an animal communicator. Dawn is an animal communicator. They've been doing this a very long time. So, but you can go to the horse or animal or dog or cat or whatever that is and say, hey, I'm here and this is why I'm here, right? And we always say that in Animal Reiki. Let them know why you're there, right? And I'm here for you. And that's why the mantra, all is well, you are safe, you are loved, all is well. Because even if the conditions aren't ideal in our mind, they're safe, they're loved, and all is well. They're loved in some way. So thank you so much for that, Nancy. I really appreciate that. Was so great.
You're welcome. And you can mute me now if I can't figure out how to mute myself.
Okay. And this is why I love this community, because we have so many people with so much experience, and I can't think of everything. So that when you guys talk, and that's why I encourage everyone, if you have a comment or you have an idea or an experience you want to share, just let me know. You can unmute yourself, you can interrupt me. I don't mind. This is a very casual gathering, and I want everyone's voice to be heard, because if you have something to say, even if it's a question, and you're like, oh, everybody probably knows this. Trust me, we don't, because every question opens up, because we're all learning, we're all growing together. I don't know everything. Even Kathleen doesn't know everything. There's new things that come up. And this is the wonderful thing about the Let Animals Lead practice, is it's just a beginning. It's a beginning to something bigger. Your spirit, your soul is just going to keep growing and growing and growing. And I know I wanted to say, for me, going back to the precepts, is that had I not had the precepts when I first learned Animal Reiki with Kathleen, I would not have stuck with Animal Reiki, because one, it's really hard for me to meditate. I have a really busy mind. And I just sometimes sitting with an animal that was in pain or maybe had issues was really hard for me. But the precepts really help us get back into our body, to who we truly are, to our really loving, compassionate self. And I remember when I wanted to go to the shelter and I wanted to, share Reiki, because that was, Kathleen said, if you don't do it, who will? And it was just so hard for me. She just said, say the precepts, be in the energy of the precepts. That's all you need to do, is to be in that energy of the precepts. And when you are, you're going to start feeling, being more open to the meditation. You're going to start connecting more deeply to the animal. So you don't worry if you can't, oh my gosh, I can't sit for 30 minutes in total peace and quiet doing meditation. Your body is, if you're not a meditator, if you weren't brought up with meditation, right? If you're not a meditator, your body, your mind is going to constantly try to get you out of meditation. Your body and your mind is going to be like, oh my gosh, there's so much we have to do. Are you really sure you have time for this? Is this really what you want to be doing right now? Shouldn't we be doing this? And it's like, oh my gosh, look at a bird. Oh my gosh, look at a squirrel. Your body, your mind, or it's like, oh, I have this ache. I have this ache. So when I went to Dr. Joe's retreat, there's a meditation, and I knew this ahead of time, that was going to be 4.5 hours long. And I was freaking out, because I can't sit for 4.5 hours in meditation. I can't sit for 5 minutes without my mind going somewhere, right? But it was really cool how he explained that our bodies are going to fight us. Our minds are going to fight us. So what do we do? And this is where our practice is really great for this. I was like, oh, this is so cool. He said, you just calm it down. So we can say the precepts. We can say the all is well mantra. We can also say to our mind, that's okay. I got it. Don't worry. We'll think about that later, right? Get the Scarlett O'Hara attitude. I'll think about that tomorrow. I'll think about that tomorrow. Be Scarlett O'Hara when you go in for your Reiki thing. Thank you, mind. I'm going to think about that tomorrow. But also your body. So when the first day, when we're sitting there, and it's a lot of lecture, you're there, you're starting the retreat at 6 a.m. and you're not leaving the retreat part until sometimes as late as 7:30. So it is all day. And we start, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my hip is hurting me. My hip is hurting me. My hip is hurting me. And then I was like, no, I love you, hip. I love you. It's okay. And pretty soon the pain just went away. Because again, it's like that self-love. We want to fight. We want to fight what's happening within us. We want to stomp it down. We're in constant war with ourselves, who we are, our mind, our body. And instead, we just need to say, oh, thank you so much, hip. Thank you for hurting. I understand. You probably need to be stretched. We'll stretch you when I'm all done with this. And it was really amazing, because the more I did that, the easier and easier and easier the meditation got, to the point where I didn't feel any pain. I wasn't really that distracted. It's not that my mind, of course your mind goes, because there's one, you're looking at a kaleidoscope, right? And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Those are really pretty colors. Oh my God, I have a shirt that color. Oh my God, where is that shirt? You know what I mean? Like, once your mind goes, it goes, it goes. But you can go, wait a minute. No, no, no. Stop, stop. You're really aware. And that's what's really powerful. And I want to share with you is that the one thing I learned from Dr. Joe is being aware. And when you're aware, you can correct it immediately, right? So it's like I was aware of my body pain because I had to be, right? You know, you're sitting there, it's all you know, it's like, ah, crap. But I was also aware of my mind. And then, you know, one of the days I was there, I was like, you know what? Any negative thoughts I'm going to have, I'm going to send love to it, right? So I would think I'd be judgmental. It's like, oh, wow, I can't believe that lady is not freezing. You know, oh, nope, that's judgmental. I send love to that lady, and I am, wow, that's so great. She can sit in this freezing cold room with barely any clothes on, and good for her, right? It's like just correcting myself. And I found that after the retreat and even now, I feel so much better in my body because I'm replacing judgment and discontent or anger with love and acceptance and kindness, right? And that's something that we can easily do. You know, gratitude too. I just bring, oh, I'm so grateful. Like I was in line and it was this long line recently and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. And I was like, you know what? I'm really grateful that I'm able to be here. I'm really grateful that my health allows me to walk because there was a time during COVID where I had to go to the post office and I literally thought I was going to die. I had to stand in line. It was, I don't know what it was, if it was after Christmas, but I had to go. I didn't have a choice and I could barely like breathe and walk. But I was like, okay, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And it really helps you to get back into your body and it helps your body to start to calm down. I was in traffic on Sunday, you know, California traffic. Oh my gosh, you're not even moving. I was getting so bummed. And I'm like, no, I'm so grateful. I'm going to listen to a book and I'm going to learn something and I'm going to be really grateful. And when I did that, the traffic started to go faster because I started to go, oh gosh, I'm not going to have enough time to finish this. And I really want to finish it. Right. And so then the traffic starts flowing and you're kind of like, ah, darn it. So it's like, there's things that we can turn this around. And same with when we sit with animals, right? We can go in there, like Nancy was saying, go in there and you're like, oh, this horse is throwing its shoes and blah, blah, blah. And then, or you can go, you know what? This horse is silly, you know. And remember I told you guys I was turning my thing. I'm not saying I'm stupid, oh my god I'm so stupid. I'm saying, oh my gosh, I'm so silly, right? I'm so silly. So you're just say to the horse, oh my gosh, you're so silly, you're so silly, you keep kicking your shoes, right? And a whole different energy starts to come around. And now the horse, whether it's a dog, a cat, a horse, an alligator, whatever that is, they start feeling your energy. Because remember, you're 99.99999% energy. So when you switch that energy to love, boom, it's like a magic sauce. So this Saturday is our Sarah meeting. And if you're a community member, you're invited to all our meetings and you get the recording. But we're going to do a meeting on manifestation. And I learned this really cool trick about manifestation from Dr. Joe, and it is gold. Because before I went, this is what's really interesting. Before I went to Dr. Joe's to his retreat, I mean, this was like the last year or so. I see all these things about manifestation. I'm not a good manifester because I have a really low deserve level. I know this. And you have to have a high deserve level. You have to believe that you deserve what's coming to you, right? And I don't have a high deserve level. And you see all these people, especially now that people buy ads about manifesting and how easy it is and how, oh my gosh, I live in a bajillion dollar home and I have a bajillion dollars and I get to travel all over the world, blah, 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 right? And I'm like, yeah, but what you're saying isn't the secret to manifesting. And Dr. Joe literally was like, that's the secret to manifesting. So I started trying it. Now, again, my deserve level is really low, but I'm really good at other things. So I came home from, I'm in between Portland and San Jose because I'm helping my nephew, my 18-year-old nephew. And I have been for like the last year and a half. And so I drove all the way from San Jose. It's, you know, it takes me 12 hours because I stop and everything. I get here and my partner, Michael, is in such a bad mood. And you know how sometimes when you like, I don't want to be angry, but sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm up for this. You want to be angry? I'll go head to head. I'll put on my boxing gloves. Give me a minute. I don't, sometimes I'm like, yes, I need a good, because I'm tired, right? And I'm like, okay, you want to fight? And then I was like, no, Leah, you're too tired and this isn't healthy. So he was like, and I was like, oh my God, I can't handle this. Then I was like, okay, Leah, manifest what you want. You know how to do this. So turned around from him, did my little manifestation technique. It's like, okay. And I'm like, all right, good. You're good now. And I turned around and he's just like, and he walks in the other room. Then he comes out and he's like, I'm really sorry. I had a really horrible day at work. What do you want for dinner? And I was like, boom, he just came down. And it was so weird. But I've been able to do that with manifesting after Dr. Joe's, because it also reminded me of how I've been able to manifest stuff in my own life without that manifesting without that desperation, right? So if you're manifesting, oh, I really need this, I really want this, it's not going to come to you. And I was remembering all the different times that I've manifested things without even thinking about it. So like for instance, I'm drinking from my cannabis. You can't see it's the cannabis. Oh, let's see, because I have a thing on. But anyway, it's called the cannabis. It was a big show. It was a very popular show for cannabis people. And Ricardo Baca he worked for the Denver Post, and he started the cannabis, the first cannabis column, and he had this show, the cannabis. And so everybody was dying to be on the cannabis. So when I started my Baked Smart company where we were marking edibles, I was like, I want to be on that show. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I have to be on that show. I was just like, I'm going to be on that show. And I just kept saying, yeah, I'm going to be on that show. And literally, it only took me maybe 6 months to be on that show. And I was on that show as featured. And it was so cool because the manifestation is exactly what Dr. Joe was saying. It's just like, and there's other tricks to it, but you basically, you have to be really focused. You have to be really determined, really passionate. So you can be manifesting more love in your life just by knowing I deserve it and I want it. And I'm actually going to be the mirror, right? So I'm going to create self-love in myself and I'm going to put that out and it's going to be mirrored back. If you wake up in the morning and like, hey, it's going to be an amazing day and something really miraculous is going to happen to me, then you're going to go throughout your day just expecting a miracle. And Dr. Joe says, expect the unexpected, because whatever you manifest, if it comes to you in a normal way, like in an expected way, then that's not what you're manifesting. You have to manifest something that when it comes to you, it's like, whoa, that comes to you in a really unexpected way, right? And also, like for the cannabis, it wasn't like I just sat there and went, I want to be on the cannabis. I'm going to be on the cannabis. When I had a chance to talk to Ricardo, I was like, oh, hey, I'd love to be on your show. And he's like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like this. He's like, oh, yeah, we can see about that. But it was like nothing big deal. But then I talked to one of his partners and I said, yeah, I'd really love to be on the cannabis show. And I had to go out of my comfort zone, right? So you have to kind of help the universe a little bit more manifesting. And then the way it happened, the way I ended up being on there was really unexpected. And then you'll never believe this, literally like almost, I don't know, I want to say it was less than a month, but we'll just be generous and say a month later, the show shut down because Ricardo left. And so they just kind of shut the show down. So I got on there just in the nick of time. And it's a really great thing. I'll always have that. It's something I really, really wanted. And I did it. But that's the whole thing about manifestation. And if you want, so I kind of segued a little bit on that. If you want to be a part of that discussion and you want to learn everything that I learned about it, come to the join as a community member. If you're not, it's only $50 for the year and you get invited to all of our member meetings. We have lots of different speakers. Next month we're going to have Gail Pope from Brighthaven talking to us about hospice, what that means and how Reiki works with hospice. And then the next month, I think we're going to have Nicholas Pearson. I'm also going to have Nicholas Pearson come and talk to us too about Reiki. I can't remember who else we have slated, but we always have special guests. And the only way you can access the information is by joining Sarah and becoming a community member. You don't have to have studied the Let Animals Lead way. All you have to do is be an animal lover and you can join us. So in all of the emails that we send out, there's always a link to join. So if you want to join on the manifestation, you can either join now, or when you join later, you'll get access to it. So, but my point about manifesting and why I wanted to talk a little bit about that was we can manifest love in our lives. We can manifest that energy of love so that we can be better with the animals. And that's really what this talk is all about. It's like, oh, it's 11:11 here. Yay. It's about how we can create love and help animals feel love and help them mirror that back, right? So if you're going with a shutdown horse that doesn't trust humans, and you go in there with this energy of love, this energy of I love you, no matter what is going on with you, right? And that's the problem with regular human Reiki for animals. You come in with the fix it, right? Like what we were talking about. Got a problem, got to fix it. That's the normal human Reiki way to be with animals. I'm going to fix your problem. Well, what are you saying to the animal? You're broken. The animals are like, wait a second. I didn't realize I was broken. Yeah, I throw my shoes, but I'm broken? No, they're not broken. We're broken. So we're going in there, broken person, and they see us all broken, and they're like, oh, okay, you're telling me I'm broken. All right. And now all of a sudden we're putting ourselves here and the animals here, when really the animals up here and we're down here, and they're elevating us, right? So if we can cultivate love so that it's super easy for us to turn it on, no matter what the situation of the animal looks like. And I shared last week where how that little greyhound Vivian got drug onto the escalator by her person, and it was so upsetting to me, and I'm just like, no. And then I'm like, no, I have to surround Vivian with love, because Vivian loves her person. No matter what her person does, Vivian loves that person. And so if I'm sending negative emotions to this person, Vivian's like, well, I'm not going to connect with you. I love my person, and you're sending a negative energy to my person, and you're sending a negative energy to me because you're feeling sorry for me. So they're not going to want to connect to me at all. And I realized that, and I'm like, okay, no, you've got to surround Vivian and her person with love and see them in a loving light. And I never saw her again on the escalator. And maybe that was my lesson. We get our lessons given to us in really strange ways. And it was a really great reminder for me. I want to be the best practitioner and teacher I can possibly be. So these situations are going to come up. They're going to test us. How deep are you in your practice? But when we have that energy of love that we can easily access, and of course I'm at the retreat, so I can easily access that energy of love because I'm surrounded by a bunch of people that are in that energy. And that's what we're really focusing on throughout Dr. Joe's entire training. You're really focusing on the energy of love. That was easy. But in our everyday lives, it might be hard. Like if you're in a really negative relationship and you're fighting all the time, it can be really hard to generate the energy of love. But what you can do is you can start reminding yourself of what you do love, right? Like again, for me, bunnies, and I'm going to laugh and I'm going to get in that energy of love, right? But for you, it might be something else. You can always bring yourself back. Your day does not have to be ruined because of the energy of one person. You can just block that person.
Can I share a quick tip that I use, Leah?
Yeah,
because
sure.
I can totally relate to what you're saying. Like,
Yes,
how
of
to
course.
switch off the fear, the negativity, and these thoughts come in over and over and over, and instead of sending them away, having compassion is wonderful, right? And how do we do that? For me, I use this phrase, when my mind starts going astray, is switching it back to gratitude. So if there's fear, because usually the thought is, connected to some kind of fear that I'm worried about, I just say, thank you for reminding me what I need to know. Right? So what does that mean? Like, oh yeah, come back to love, or
Right.
you're creating this. So, but it's a gratitude. So it's having compassion, and it's also having gratitude. So immediately, by saying thank you for reminding me of what I needed to know, what I need to remember, that really helps me. So I just thought.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I love that. I love that so much because it really ties into the 4 tips here. The simplest way that we can bring pockets of happiness to our day is like doing that joy, happiness meditation, or just the all is well mantra, right? I am safe, I am loved, all is well. And then getting into that energy of gratitude where like you can be grateful. If you have running water, you're doing better than like a third of the world. So you can be really grateful. Wow, I have running water. I have hot water. There are people in the United States that are living without hot water. I have food. Whatever that is, you can be really grateful for it and have true gratitude for it, right? I'm just
Yeah, Louise Hay does this thing and one of her gratitude things in the morning, starting your day, to be grateful, like for indoor plumbing. Like think back in the days of even the kings and queens and royalty, they didn't have indoor plumbing. Like how grateful can we be for that, right? Just these little things that we don't ever even really think about or recognize. That's funny. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like you can find something to be grateful about. And then, when we go and work with the animals, we have to be in that energy of gratitude and joy because they want to connect with us in that energy. That was one of the things that I learned from Taya Strom years ago when I met her in 2017, I think, is, she's an animal communicator. And she told me, the way she starts, or actually, she didn't even tell me. It was more like she was going to do a session. We were out somewhere and she had to do a session. And she's like, she was just saying, yeah, I always have to start with joy in my heart. So give me a second. And I was like, oh, wow, that is so cool. Because we never really talked about that in Animal Reiki, about how you should always start your session with the energy of joy in your heart. Sometimes we get really caught up into this is really serious. And so we're going to go, okay, I'm going to go sit with you and, I'm going to meditate. And no, we can sit in that energy of joy and happiness. And when you do that, the animals are so much more likely to connect with you because that's a really good energy. That feels like a good thing for them, right? Like it's the difference between, do I want to sit next to an angry person or do I want to sit next to a really happy person? I want to sit next to the happy person because I'm going to feed off that energy and I'm going to become happier. If I'm sitting next to an angry person, it's going to make me really uncomfortable. It's not that I'm going to feed off his anger, but I'm going to start feeling off and uncomfortable. And, and joy and happiness make us healthy too. Because one thing I did notice is like, have you ever been in a fight with someone and you're getting in an argument and they're not listening to you and they're not feeling you and you start to feel really like icky and sick. And I don't want that energy in my body because after that week with Dr. Joe, where, I didn't have anything like that, then you get back in the real world and you're like, it felt really good in my body to not have that conflict or that, oh, that ickiness of I just want to be right or I want to be heard or whatever that is. So, it makes you a better version of yourself when you can really cultivate that love and it makes you healthier. And then you can manifest better when you are happier. And hello, we all want to manifest things in our lives. So be happy, be loving, be joyful, be kind, because that's how you're going to get exactly what you want and exactly what you deserve is by being like that. And I know, I want to pick on Mary Lynn for a minute. Mary Lynn is a very good manifester. She's an amazing manifester. She is always so sweet and happy and loving and kind and generous. And and Kelly and I were talking about it, and she's like, oh yeah, I got asked to talk to the library about animal Reiki. And then I might be on a TV show. And then, oh yeah, they wanted me to do a podcast. And Kelly and I are like, okay, what the ever living? That takes us years to do. And Mary Lynn just goes, well, I just got to do this. But it's her energy, it's her attitude. The universe is responding to her. She's putting out what she wants in a really loving and excited way. I want people to know about Animal Reiki. I want to share Animal Reiki. And the universe is responding. I don't know, Mary Lynn, if you want to pipe in on that. I just wanted to share that. But I was just so impressed with that. That is the power of positive manifestation.
Yeah, it's developing relationships with people, and I send it to Reiki to help me manifest. And yeah, so I'm currently working on the script for the TV presentation.
What?
And so, yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. So
Congratulations. I love that. And also, you know, you have to have passion and commitment, right? You're committed to what you're doing. You're passionate about what you're doing. That creates the energy that comes back to you through manifestation, right? You're putting it out there and the universe is like, oh, okay, you're really passionate about this. You're not distracted, because what really messes us up is distractions, you know, when we're letting other things get in the way, and then it creates that energy of lack. It creates that energy of lack of love. Go ahead, Marilyn.
Oh, yeah. Just simply, I listen to my heart. And when my heart is saying yes, 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 that's it. Then I know it's right for me.
And what comes out of our hearts? Love, right? And you know, and that's one thing in the Let Animals Lead method. We talk a lot about how your heart and your mind, you know, in Japanese, it's kokoro. There is no separation between your heart and your mind and your spirit. And we work on that. We work on bringing them together in a perfect balance of wisdom and compassion. And then Dr. Joe, in his meditations, he talks about bringing coherence between your mind and your heart. So it's different ways to get to the exact same place. And, you know, and it's really funny. And when I was working in cannabis, you see this all the time. In cannabis, you see this all the time, that people that are lacking love, they're going to do drugs. So they're going to do ayahuasca. They're going to do mushrooms. They're going to do cannabis. They're going to do ecstasy. What do all four of those drugs bring? They bring the energy of love. They bring the energy of expansiveness. And that's really what people are trying to get to. But we're lucky because we have the tools that can get us there without the drugs. We don't need the drugs because we have the tools. And the more that you can allow yourself to sit in the energy of love, just quietly sit, maybe just get an eye mask, sit quietly in the energy of love. Think about what brings you love. Breathe into love, breathe out love. Then that can actually stimulate the dopamine, the natural dopamine in your body. And when you really go in deep into meditation, you can even create your own DMT, which is the magic sauce of magic mushrooms. You can create your own DMT. So that's why the placebos work, right? Because people truly believe that this is going to cure them. They truly believe that they're going to be better because of this pill or this treatment. And that's, you know, animals don't have the placebo. So what works with animals? The energy of love, because the energy of love is comforting. The energy of love feels good. It's like a warm blanket being wrapped around you. And that's something we can easily share. So I'll go over the 4 points one more time, just so you have it. And so we have it for our recap. It's just, you know, the simplest way to bring in happiness is to do that joyful meditation or the all is well mantra. Focus on gratitude. You can, like Anna and I were saying, you have so much to be grateful for, and how animals need us to be joyful and happy when we're with them. And again, caveat, your own animals, you know, you can be unhappy and they're there to help support you. They're there for you, but we don't want to overbear them with too much of our anxiety or our sadness or our anger or our worry. We want to always infuse that joy and love with them. And I know my dogs are so much happier when I'm joyful. And then how being happy makes you a much better manifester. And so you can manifest more in your life. But I will say I was just reminded of my dog, Leo. My dog, Leo, had pancreatitis, and he was my partner, Michael's dog. Michael had him, he was a rescue, so he was probably around 2, and he died when he was probably, he was at least 15 when he died. So anyway, Leo had pancreatitis. And if he got upset, the pancreatitis would act up. So if Michael and I got in an argument, I learned very quickly that Leo would have a very bad bout of pancreatitis because he was so sensitive and it made him so nervous. So if Michael and I, you know, because we're not perfect, whenever we'd have an disagreement, I would take Leo into the office and I would go, oh, and we'd play and we'd start laughing. And he liked music. He liked to dance with me. So I would lift him up and we'd do silly things where I'd let him he had these alligator jaws that would just snap. So I would play alligator with him so he could snap at me. And then that would get him out of that state and he wouldn't have a pancreatitis episode. But it took me a couple times of him doing that before I realized, whoa, our energy is way too heavy for this dog. And he was probably, at that time, he was probably around 8 or 9. So he probably could handle it a lot better when he was young. But when he was older, he didn't have the tools he needed to just go, yeah, no big deal. Absolutely, Dawn. So Dawn has a special offering because we're getting down to time right now. And I want her to be able to say it. And I want us to do a really quick meditation. So yeah, Dawn, please unmute yourself. And absolutely, I love this.
Okay, well, I just shared with Leah privately and I'll share it with everyone, but I have a meditation tonight. I do a free meditate for your pet once a month in Zoom at 7:30 Central Time. And tonight we're doing exploring with our senses, which is about you using your different senses to realize what's around you and what your animal companion might also be sensing and experiencing. And so if anyone wants to join me, oh, Leah, she just put it up there. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no charge. I do not record though. So if you can join me, great. Some months I have 2 clients there, some months I have 20 clients there, but I do a different meditation every month.
I think that's a wonderful offering. And that's really good to know because we can all, it's a great time when you do these things. I know Kelly has, usually on Friday, she has either a Reiki boost or she has an animal meditation on a Friday. And it's a really great time for us just to go and meditate. I know Nicholas Pearson also does his free Reiki share. I really encourage you to, we usually share that in our emails, but go to his Reiki share. Go to different things that are free where you can start to practice your meditation because it's so much easier to meditate in a group than it is on your own. And it's so much easier to meditate with a group of animals, like a herd of horses, than it is to meditate on your own. We're so blessed that we have animals in our life. Even if you go outside, and we experience this all the time at care, you meditate and all the wild animals get quiet and they meditate with you. They hold space for you. So just remember that, if you really want to practice your meditation and practice getting quiet within your body and focusing on love, then go sit with animals and ask for their help. Always ask for their help. They always want to help us. So if does anyone have any last minute comments before we go into, we're just going to do a short meditation because I know we're short on time here. But if no one has any comments, and Carmen, I said hi to Carmen. I see Carmen here. So I just want to make sure that I say hello to everyone. And again, and hey, Eddie, I see that you joined us and thank you so much for coming. So you'll have to listen to the beginning because we covered some really great points. So let's all close our eyes. Let's close out those outside distractions. Let's bring our hands into Gasho or prayer pose, bringing our palms together. And let's just take a couple deep breaths here, breathing in deeply through our nose, pulling our breath deep into our belly, expand your belly, and then slowly release your breath out your mouth. And make sure your out breath is a little bit longer than your in breath. And a couple of more of those breaths. And just feel your body start to relax as you let go of all stress and tension on the out breath. Bringing in love and light into your body with your in breath and releasing all stress and tension, anything that no longer serves you on the out breath. And let's take a moment to dedicate this meditation to all sentient beings. And also take a moment to dedicate this meditation to yourself. And whenever you're ready, you can put your hands face up or face down in your lap. I'd like you to breathe into your belly, expand your belly, and slowly release your breath out your mouth or out your nose. Just a nice, long, gentle breath in and a relaxed, gentle breath out. As we breathe into our belly, we make a connection with the earth, the energy of stability and strength. And now I'd like you to bring your focus to your heart. And imagine yourself breathing into your heart. And on the in-breath, your heart expands. And on the out-breath, your heart emits the energy of love out into the space around you. Just focusing on breathing into your heart, expanding your heart, and then releasing love. Now, I'd like you to bring to mind something that brings you immense joy and feel this joy in your heart. You know, you all know for me, it's bunnies. Just can't even say it without laughing. But bring something to your mind that makes you giggle, that makes you feel just immense love and joy. And allow your heart to be filled with this energy of love. And visualize this energy going out into the space around you, out into the universe. Become this beautiful energy of love. And know that when you release your breath, you're releasing this beautiful energy of love out into the world, into the universe. Trust and believe that your energy of love has the power to bring peace, has the power to bring comfort. Any animals or people come to your mind, envision them just bathed in your love. If your mind starts to wander, just bring it back to this beautiful energy of love. Bring it back to the thing that brings you joy. And just continue to breathe and expand your love outward. Now we're going to bring our hands into Gasho, but we're going to keep this beautiful energy of love open and with us. We are not closing this energy. We're just bringing ourselves back into the room. Let us give let us say thank you to those who joined us. Let us give thank you to ourselves for being here and being open to this beautiful meditation, and to being open to having and sharing this beautiful energy of love throughout our day, into our night, into our tomorrow, knowing that we can easily access the energy of love just by focusing on our breath and our heart. Now you can rub your hands together, bring yourself back into the room. And thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for Dawn and Nancy and Anne and Mary Lynn for contributing and sharing. It was so wonderful. And next week, we're going to kind of continue this theme. We're going to talk about affirmations and why some work and some don't work. So if you have any experience with affirmations and you want to share, I would love to hear from you next week. So thank you all so much for coming. And I will put links in the the recap about things. Oh, and really quickly, I wanted to share something with you about Bio One music. And I should have shared this earlier. So my nephew has extreme anxiety. He wakes up and he vomits. He vomits and vomits and vomits. And it usually takes him about 3 hours for him to stop vomiting. So he used to do this in high school. We had to go to his college orientation on Friday, and we had to drive, and he hates driving long distances. And he was just vomiting. And he said, I can't go, I can't go. And I was like, just get in the car. I made him a bed. He had his little vomit bag. But what I did was I turned on the Bio One music because there's an app for it. And I played it's the one that works for everything. It's called Kinema. So it's like cinema, but it's Kinema with a K. And literally within 15 minutes, he was calm. It was crazy because this is a kid that he ruminates, and he makes himself sick and he can't quit vomiting for at least 3 hours. I've witnessed it for the past year and a half. I played this and he got completely calm. And like after an hour, because I wanted him to rest, I just asked him, hey, so how are you feeling? And he goes, I feel good. I just have a stomach ache, but that's normal. So then the next morning we were at my brother's and he started again. He went in the bathroom, he threw up, and he went in his bed. And I said, do you want me to play that music for you again? And we just played it really low. It wasn't really like any that he could hear loudly. And he's like, yeah. And it helped him again. So it's expensive. I'm not going to lie. The albums are 55 pounds. We do get 10% off, or 55 euros. We do get 10% off with a Sarah code. And I'll put it in the recap email on Friday, but it is an investment. But I'm going to say this about this music. If it can help him with his extreme anxiety, and I'm buying him the album and the app today because I asked him yesterday if would he be willing to do this when he's feeling anxious, and he said he would. So I'm encouraging you, if you know somebody who has this, or you have this, or you have animals that are anxious, or you just want to bring peace. Like my dogs and I have been listening to this all morning, and it just brings a really beautiful sense of peace and calm. So Sarah does get a commission. I will say that for every sale, but even if it didn't, I'm encouraging you. And I had forgotten, I had this way back when I met Jean-Louis back in 2016 or whatever. I had bought the Monte Cristo CD and I really loved it, but I had forgotten about it. I quit playing CDs and I never burned it. And I just kind of forgot all about how powerful it was. But now, especially with my nephew, I was like, oh my God, this is magic. So I just wanted to share that with all of you because I was blown away that Marcus felt, and plus we're in the car and he hates being in the car and he gets car sick really easy. And so there was like a perfect storm. And I thought, oh my God, this could be a horrible trip. We had a 3-hour drive. But it just like within 15 minutes, he was completely calm, not even like retching. Like sometimes he'll just kind of retch or he'll complain. He doesn't have anything left in his stomach and all these things. And he was just completely peaceful. So I'm telling you, this works. That was my biggest test. I just wanted to share that before we went. Yeah, Mary Lynn.
Could you show us the app picture?
Yeah.
Because mine shows slow down music, not bio music.
Oh yeah, then you got the wrong app. In the App Store, do you have an iPhone or
an iPhone, and I put in bio music.
No, it's Bio One music because there's a lot of bio music. So it's Bio
One.
I think.
Got it.
Or Bio Music One. It might be Bio Music One. Bio Music. It's Bio Music One. And let me just see here what it looks like. So yeah, so I don't know if you can see that because let's see if I can hold it straight.
Okay, I got it. Is it the head with the
headset
earphones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you might be able to open that. Yeah.
I got it now. Yeah.
And you just open that, and when you buy, you don't buy the music through the app. When you buy it, go online and buy it, and then they'll give you instructions on how to download it to your phone. And then when you open the app, the music will just be there for you. So when you buy the music, you have to put in your email address. And then when you know, or whichever email, I think, use the email that's tied to your iTunes or your Google store. And then when you put your email in, it'll sync everything up for you. But yeah, that's what I did. It took me a minute to load it, but because the instructions, I'm going to talk to Jean about that, a little bit different. Go ahead.
So then does the app show up on your phone
when you say
after you buy it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the other thing I had a question of, when you say buy it through the buy
Website.
it online, don't buy it where?
You could probably buy it
Buy
through
it.
the app, but don't buy it through the app. You're going to go to their website and
Don't.
Yes, no.
Oh, website. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Website.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Claudia. Yeah.
So as I understand it, Anne, you have to download the app first on your phone, then go to their website, purchase the album, and eventually they make sure it will show up on your app.
Did
So
you
have to download
Claudia?
the app first.
Claudia, did you buy it?
Not yet, but I'm planning on it. So
Oh,
yeah,
there's
so,
instructions on their website too on how to access
yes,
it.
exactly.
They have it right below the album,
Okay.
like how to access it. But yeah, thank you, Claudia. You're right. You have to download the app first, then go and purchase it, put all your information in, and then it'll show up. And
So the app itself is free. It's just a shell, and then you add the music once you buy it from the website. Is that right? Okay, and that information is on YouTube from when he spoke with us, right?
Yeah, and I just pulled it up. Maybe I can put it here for you guys. Because if you click on it, if you click on the link in the chat, it should take you right there. Let me see if I can. Yeah, bio. There we go. And then oh, let me do the English one because this is French. The English one I think is flash for. Yes, there we go. Okay. I'll give you the English link. They also have it in Spanish and French, but obviously it's
Okay.
work. So my computer's being slow, but I think I have it here.
And this chat is saved on YouTube, the replays, right?
Yes. And then also I can make sure Allie puts the link on the YouTube description. Let me just make a note to myself. For Allie to put bio on YouTube.
Okay.
And that way you guys have that easily accessible, because she also needs to, the PDFs that he had that were really helpful about which music to buy. That also, I do have that up because I just wanted to make sure that Kinema was the one, but this is the PDF that tells you what each album is used for. So there's that. And again, if you just like while you're here in chat, click on it, chat will open up your internet browser, and that way you have it right there open for you. So yeah, I was really impressed because it's hard to tell with my dogs. They like to bark, but they're not big barkers. So, it's just every once in a great while. So they're not great litmus tests for me, because they're pretty calm. And one of them's like 16, so he's really calm. But Marcus, that was huge. I mean, I wanted to cry. I was so relieved that he finally has something, because I've tried everything: tapping, meditation, mantras, journaling. Nothing's working for this kid, and he's got to go to college.
Has he tried, I know this is personal, you don't have to share here if you don't want to, but has he tried doing his inner child work, like clearing it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, he's got a therapist that's really good. And
I'm talking psychotherapy. This is different.
Oh, I know it's his therapist is, I say his therapist. He does a lot of alternative stuff, and they've done a lot of work together. Marcus is just very resistant, but this it's so passive. He was very open to it. So it seems like it's helping. I mean, he's doing other things. He has to, because you have to let go. It's years of him being anxious. He was anxious as a small child. He would throw up then when he would get excited, like as a baby. Like, he's like a year old and they're planning a party as parents, and he would start vomiting because he'd get so nervous. So he'd have to come stay with me. So yeah, no, he's doing some work. Whether he's really doing it, I don't know, but yeah, but I'll ask him if he's working on that still, or if he just if they moved on. I don't know.
Okay, well, I wish him luck, and I'm glad that this biomusic is working. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, and then thank you for that, because that just reminds me to have, because I need to check in with him anyway and just make sure he's doing the work. But he's a boy and he's resistant, and what can you do? All right, everyone. Well, if you don't have any other questions about Biomusic 1 or anything else that we've talked about, I will let you all go. Have an amazing, love-filled day, and I will hopefully see you again next week. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. This was great. Thank you. Have a